Thank you. And I'm now going to share a little poll that, whilst I'm going to be talking next about some research that I personally conducted and did a little bit of work with Ed Baines. So I'm starting a poll right now that you can fill in whilst you're listening to this, to ask you about what you think types of play is important in schools. Because what's been interesting listening to the speakers so far is this has been research that's been conducted in random schools, in schools all across England. I wanted to give a bit of a global viewpoint. You can, next slide please, Sarah. I want to give a bit of a global viewpoint on what is playtime like around the world. And thanks at the beginning to Ed Baines at the Institute of Education, who helped me tighten up a lot of the questions that we asked schools as part of Outdoor Classroom Day. So I was Global Director for Outdoor Classroom Day until last August, and each year we conducted research with schools all around the world. Yes, these are schools who are basically interested in play to start with. They had got involved in the Outdoor Classroom Day campaign, but still, the responses so different worldwide. Okay, next slide, please. 97% of teachers worldwide believe that play outdoors throughout the school day is critical to reaching their full potential. That came through, there were over 7,000 responses to that particular question worldwide from, if I remember rightly, it was well over 100 countries. 97% believe that it is critical for children to reach their full potential. Next slide, please. We can see that there are many key skills that teachers believe that children are gaining from their outdoor play: social skills, emotional skills, those fine motor skills. You can't learn to hold a pencil unless you have developed the muscles to pick things up, to move things, embodied a whole movement, and that so that you've got good control. The ability to focus on a task. We've all seen children playing when they get into a state of flow and they learn to concentrate hard. That's something they learn through their play and something they can then bring back into class. Next slide, please. Alongside the skills they're developing are the capabilities, bravery, the understanding of I'm a shy person, but this is how I engage with my friends, how to engage with different types of tasks, how to cope in loud environments, quiet environments, to work through what kind of person I'm being. So teachers are seeing this wealth of capabilities, skills, other benefits that they're getting from their play. Next slide, please. And yet, sorry, yeah, I forgot about this environment. COP26 is round the corner. If we want children to care about the world they're in, they need to understand the environment. They need to love the place that they're in. For many children worldwide, many children, the school playground is the only time that they are outdoors, the only place that they are free, without screens, without too many adults telling them what to do, where they're free to simply gaze at dirt and touch the earth. Next slide, please. So what differences are we seeing around the world? You'd think, since the research is fairly consistent, that play is beneficial to children, the teachers understanding that playtime is of great importance to children. Parents too think that playtime on the whole is of great importance to children. So let's have a look at what the difference is in simply the length of play. Next slide, please. So this is the length of playtime, not including eating. Okay, we asked the question, please tell us how many minutes are your children outside playing, not including the time they're eating. You can see the variation between Brazil and Australia is huge. So we're seeing in the UK, 16% of the schools responding got less than 30 minutes a day. Some of those will have been secondary schools, but whatever age grade, in the UK, less than 30 minutes is quite shocking. The United States, far more than that. You're seeing 60%, and those are mostly primary schools, vast majority, 60% less than 30 minutes of playtime. Indonesia, 80% less than 30 minutes. Compare that to Australia, where you've got over 60% of the schools saying we have over 60 minutes of play. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, it's not just about the length, because you'll notice in the last slide, Finland was right in the middle, and everybody's saying that Finland has so much more play. Yes, they do, because the school day is about 4 to 5 hours long. So for every 45 minutes of instructions, 15 minutes of playtime, as compared to Brazil, still 4 to 5 hours long. So vast majority, 60% less, has less than 10% of their school day is still in playtime. So here we can see the United Kingdom, for all that we sit here and go, and we know children have lost 45 minutes of playtime over the last 20 odd years. You know, when I was at primary school, hour and a half at lunchtime was normal, 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon, same at secondary school. Now it's far less than that. But still in the United Kingdom, we do really well. Finland obviously tops out. Canada does pretty well. South Africa, Brazil, France, and the United States and Indonesia, much less time available for children's play. Next slide, please. This is where I spot a spelling mistake. Types of outdoor spaces, just a quick one on this. It's a very confusing slide. You can download the report and like dig into it a little bit better. Each of those columns represents a different type of outdoor surface. So Michael referred at the beginning of this session that most investment for schools is generally spent on sort of sports areas, on multi-use games areas. So one of the questions that we ask them is, what kind of outdoor space do you have? A hard surface, a sport area, what kind of fixed play structures? Interesting to see, Finland is the only one where over 90% of schools have fixed play structures, climbing frames, swings, slides. Finland is also the only country where schools consistently had all different types of play surfaces. They had gardens, they had hard surfaces, fixed play structures, and sports areas. Here in the UK, we also have got a really high level of hard surfaces. When you compare that to Brazil, where quite often they just don't have any outdoor ground. They don't have anywhere to go. That's one of the reasons why they have so little amount of playtime. Next slide, please. Staff attitudes to outdoor play. A lot of teachers, when you start talking to teachers and head teachers around what is stopping you investing in playtime, it's not they don't think it's important. It's a general concern that parents and other staff might not value it as much. Well, so that's why we specifically asked this question. What is your attitudes? What are the attitudes of your colleagues to outdoor play? So we're seeing in Indonesia, interestingly, almost everybody thinks, most of my colleagues think playtime is important. It's not just me. And yet in Turkey, 20%, over 20%, 24% think that most of my peers don't value playtime. One of the reasons we asked this question is because when we ask people to sign up to Outdoor Classroom Day campaign, we asked them, what kind of school are you? We meant them to say, we're a primary school, we're a secondary school, we're a church school. One head teacher said lonely, because nobody else is interested in getting outdoors. Well, that's part of the purpose of the Outdoor Classroom Day campaign. It's part of the purpose of OPAL. It's to bring us together as a community. I cannot tell you, we've got 130 odd of you on the call today. We've got over 400, almost 500 have signed up to get the recording today. We've had thousands of people viewing the OPAL open days and getting in touch and talking to each other now about the importance of outdoor play. Next slide, please. So like Ben, I love to hear from the real people. What do they actually say? This is not just an issue here in the UK or in New Zealand or in Australia or America. We have teachers from Turkey, teachers from Cote d'Ivoire, teachers from Canada, teachers from South Africa, everybody's saying the same thing. There's one school in India beautifully responded saying, since getting involved in outdoor classroom days, since increasing playtime, I now know I'm rich in resources, rich in environment, not just poor in classroom. Next slide, please. I'll just go quickly on. So what is stopping children getting outdoors? Everybody always loves this one. Next one. What stops children from getting outdoors? Interesting this. The UK, I didn't ask this of enough different countries. The UK had the far highest number of teachers saying that poor behaviour in class stops children going out to play. That's something to consider. Next slide, please. Because the biggest thing that stops children getting outside is, of course, the weather. But what counts as weather is so very, very different. In Canada, it regularly was saying it's below -20. The hailstones are bigger than the children's heads. Whereas here in the UK, it might rain. One school in the USA said if it goes below 2 degrees, 2 degrees, put a jumper on. Next slide, please. And just so very quickly, next slide, please. The link will be in the chat on how to sign up. Since Outdoor Classroom Day has been going since 2011, over 11 million children have got involved, well over 100,000 schools in 177 countries worldwide. Next slide. 63% of the schools in our last major survey said that since they got involved in the campaign, they have simply increased playtime. And that's something we're consistently seeing with OPAL, is as schools recognise the value of what the children are doing in those playgrounds, they start increasing the amount of play again that the children have. Next slide. So please do join us on the 4th of November. Celebrate your playtime, take one lesson outdoors, tell parents and the wider school community why it's so important. Get involved on Twitter, share your photographs, let everybody else know about it. And please do join us. Next slide, please. I think that's it. Yeah, there's all the links. You can take a photo of that, but they'll all be in the chat. Thank you very much. Oh, I'm going to share the results. Look at that. So people are saying on the wee poll there, physical activity, 85%, social emotional skills, 90%, environmental awareness, 73%. That might be down to how much grass space you can get. Improves behavior. Ooh, I think we could convince the 25% that didn't put that as one of the key outcomes. Increases attendance, 61%. Interesting. Michael might want to come back on that. 85% of you say it's fun. Brilliant.